Hello and welcome to another Royal Reviewer live pop-up chat, and it is Thursday. I hope you've all had a really good Thursday, and we have a new story. Now, I wasn't expecting to be having to talk about this today, but a story has come to light in the media today about Harry and Meghan's Frogmore Cottage. I thought all of this was over. My goodness, but no. We all knew that the garden was still to be completed. There was still outstanding work on the garden. However, it now appears that they may have to, well, they have had to go back to planning to make some amendments to the planning permission which was given, which we'll get into in a moment. But first of all, I want to welcome everyone to the chat, and I'm going to go and find the chat room before I start talking at length about all of this and what it means. So yeah, let's just find the chat room and then we will get into it. I'm just refreshing my screen to pull it up. Aha, there I am. Okay, it's coming up. We have 103 people watching already. If you're watching, please give it a big old thumbs up. Okay, so I can see people in the chat room. I am now going to post a link to an article, and yeah, kind of pay no heed to the article. It is a Daily Mail one, but they do have some photographs of actual source information, which I'm going to read some of it and we'll go through it. So do bear with me on this one. I think it is quite important to open it, whether you agree with the Daily Mail or not. Like I say, they do have some good source information. So I'll just give you a few seconds to open that up. If you're watching on catch up, I will put the link that I'm looking at in the description box below. Some people, I think, are having trouble finding it, but all you do is you click under the video, you click show more, and then the description box will open up, and you can follow the link. Whenever I do one of these videos where I share a link, I always, after the chat's finished, I go and I pop that link in the description box. So there we go. Now, I am going to read the headline because I kind of want to give it a fan flap. So the headline reads, Meghan and Prince Harry. I'm not quite sure why Harry gets a title and Meghan doesn't, but anyway, Meghan and Prince Harry could be forced to rip up their new Frogmore Cottage garden after changing their minds over plan. Again, I think they're alluding to the whole difficult thing, changing your mind, difficult, get the drift. Then in brackets, though we're still not allowed to know what it will look like. I mean, as if anyone has a right to look at what a private garden is going to be like. I don't know. Anyway, I still think the negative train is still chewing. Let's jump on the negative train, people. No. Let's not jump on the negative train. So I'm not going to read all the article, but zip down the photographs to the letter. So this is a Royal Household Property Section Windsor Castle letter. So it was sent by the Royal Household Property Section at Windsor Castle, and it is addressing obviously these issues. So what I think's happened is, originally in the planning application, remember it is a listed building, so a lot of the times, I mean sometimes in British planning the gardens aren't covered, the grounds aren't covered when it comes to planning permission. In regular gardens you can kind of do what you want, but I do think the rules are a little bit stricter in certain conservation areas and with listed buildings. So in this case, obviously, evidently, the grounds were included in the plans. So before they started renovations, they applied to the council, which is normal. Everyone has to do that. Wherever you are, you apply to the council for planning permission. That was granted. Now, the original plans must have included the grounds. Now, I'm thinking it also meant maybe structural alterations to the garden, maybe garden buildings, maybe garden boundaries, walls. It could have meant drainage systems being installed. It could have meant all kinds of things in the original planning. So that was all approved initially, and then obviously they moved into the cottage after it was all finished, but the grounds were still outstanding. There were still outstanding works to do. Now it appears that Harry and Meghan have made a few changes. Now, I'm not entirely sure what those changes are. Nobody knows what those changes are, and if they're pertaining to know what they are, they don't, because no one knows. These plans are secret. Well, not secret, they are withheld from public because of it being a security risk. Private, I think, is the word. They are private. So no one knows what these changes are. However, I don't think they're major changes, just small changes. Now, usually when you make changes to something that's already been approved by the council in planning permission, you would go and seek an amendment to that plan. So you would resubmit plans, and you'd have to go through that process again to get them updated and changed, which typically there isn't a problem unless you're doing something incredibly crazy that the planners aren't going to like. But in this case, I can't think of anything that would be too outrageous that the planners would say no. So it seems like Harry and Meghan, or rather the builders, the contractor, may have overlooked this slightly and just went ahead and made slight minor alterations to the agreed plan. Now, technically, they shouldn't do this. They should have gone and sought extra permission for the changes. So if you do go ahead and do something and you don't know that you should apply to get it changed, you go into something called retrospective planning permission. So even though you've done the work, you submit plans retrospectively to get them approved or indeed denied. And that's where the whole heading from this came from, in terms of they could be forced to rip up what they've done. Now, technically, that's true. Technically, if the council says, no, we don't like what you've done, we would never have approved that in the first place, they could technically be forced to remove what they've done and only do what was on the agreed plan. However, this is highly, highly unlikely. I would probably say 99.9% I am positive that the resubmitted retrospective plans will be approved. Unless, like I say, they've done something completely outlandish, completely outrageous, which I can't think that they would. I mean, there's talk about an organic garden. I mean, no one knows if they're going to have an organic garden or not. But, I'm thinking the things that they're having to change on the plans may be structural, maybe garden walls, it may be, some kind of structural feature, maybe drainage, that kind of thing. So this is the letter that was submitted. Now, this has been made public because it's not the actual plan, so we can read it. So it says, Dear Victoria, obviously the person at the council, reference new planning application, external landscaping at Frogmore Cottage, Windsor Castle. Now that's where I put the link in so that you can follow what I'm reading. Please find attached new planning application for external landscaping at Frogmore Cottage, Windsor Castle. This application has been submitted following a material change to elements of the grant of planning consent. Now, there is a bit blacked out, which I think must have been the date or a reference number. We consider that national security could be compromised if public access is given to the plans. Other drawings and documents relating to this project, either in the offices of the council or on the council website, where they could be viewed and copied. Furthermore, copies of the plans and other documents should not be sent to statutory consultees. Therefore, for reasons of national security, we would appreciate if this application could be treated as confidential and not be allowed to enter into the public domain, owing to the nature of the works and their location, and would reaffirm that this application is submitted on the basis that the accompanying plans, drawings and other documents are not released into the public domain, either in your offices or on your website. Please feel free to contact me if you wish to discuss this request or this application further. Signed, Ian Ratcliffe, the project manager. So this letter would have been sent with the amended plans. Now, it is, I think, important to note, a request for privacy. They don't have to agree to it because it is UK law that all plans or planning application is public, unless, of course, there is a national security risk. Now, Windsor Castle is obviously saying that it is a national security risk with the high profile, the location. So I think they are probably justified in their request to keep it private. And it seems like the council has accepted that request because no plans have become available in the public domain. So yes, I think they have accepted that as being a national security risk, and it seems like that's gone through. There are also other documents. Now you can see why I shared this link, because there are other planning documents below. It's just basically part of the submission, but it doesn't reveal any of the plans. So there, I'm done with the article now. I'm not going to read anything from that article. I'm not going to read the comments from it either. But I did want you to see that letter so that you can see exactly what the source material actually is. That is the evidence, that is what we have. So if anyone else is spinning any kind of lies or whatever about it, that is the actual source document. So you can read that, and I'll pop the link in again, just so if you've joined late you can see. But I want to go and see what people are saying. Oh, by the way, my own personal opinion, it's not a big deal. It's just someone that's just changed their mind on their garden and they've had to put in retrospective planning permission. It happens. It really does happen. And the thing is, in terms of the press saying, well, we're not allowed to see what the garden's like, we don't need to see what the garden's like. I would love to know what the garden's going to be like. As a person that is interested in gardens, you know I like my garden. I would be really interested, just from a gardening perspective, to know what their plans are for the garden. But do I have a right to know, or an expectation to know what it is? No, I don't. That is private. I mean, what their garden looks like is interesting, but nobody has a right to know. So I don't think the press should be putting out there that, you know, we're not allowed to see, it's kept secret, blah 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 blah, because technically we don't actually have a right to know what it is, because it is their own private garden, and some things should be kept sacred, I think. Right, I'm going to start right the way down the bottom of the comments and probably read up a little bit. Here we go. Veronique says, hi from Paris, nice evening. It is indeed. Angela says, I read the Daily Mail and I observed fierce comments against... Oh, don't read the comments. Don't read them. Karen M says, why didn't the media do that to the other royals? Again, I think it's just because it's Harry and Meghan. I mean, there were things about Anne Hall when that was being redone. I did see some paparazzi photographs of the roof being redone and whatever, but I don't remember anything about, you know, seeing internal plans. Again, I think they were kept private as well. But yeah, it's just another big fuss that I think is being blown out of all proportions, and I just wanted to come on here today, talk about it, and just put everything in perspective. Southern Lady says, I agree. This should not be a big deal. The public doesn't have a right to know what the Sussexes' garden looks like. The press is horrible to the Sussexes. Tongue twister. I mean, again, I reiterate, I would dearly love to know what their garden looks like, but I don't have a right to, and I understand that I don't have a right to. If they wish to share what their garden looks... Oh, by the way, Tiara, I'm wearing my new Princess Eugenie wedding tiara. But, you know, if they wanted to share it, fine. I don't think they will, but if they wanted to, fine. Unique K says, yeah, you are right. It's not a big deal. After all, it is a private garden. Let's have a look. LD Poodle says, so true, my garden goes through major changes. Everyone's garden does. Kathy G says, it's just a distraction from the real story. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex are being thrown to the wolves. Michael says, can't wait for the South Africa tour. It will be really, really good. And again, we don't have any confirmation if we will see Archie there. He's definitely going, but we don't know if there'll be a photo call or not at this point. I agree, Debbie. They need to just stop it. It is just a garden. It is just a garden. I completely agree. Right, I'm going to go back up the comments now and start reading down a little bit. Some lady says, love the tiara. Is that the one Eugenie wore for her wedding? Yes, it is. I'm glad you spotted it before I showed it. Yeah, I agree. Same old storyline. It is indeed. By the way, I hope the notifications are going out. Unique K says, hello, I like your shirt. Hello from Jamaica. Thank you. It's one of my new ones. Majana says, why should their plans about anything be public? Well, I agree. I mean, these are house plans, garden plans, and, you know, technically, I was thinking about this, and it's like, for ordinary people, all planning applications are public in the UK. So, like, you know, if I had work done on whatever, the neighbours would probably be the only ones that would be interested. You know, it's good for nosy neighbours, basically. You can go on and you can look at the planning and you can object if you want to, and all the rest of it. So, for an average person in the UK, the only people that are probably going to be interested in what you're doing with your house and your garden are probably your nosy neighbours. That's probably about it. You know, if I redo my garden or if I redo my house, it's not going to make national news. It's not going to be a security risk, really, is it? I don't think. You know, I'm not that important. But for Harry and Meghan, if it's out there, the whole world can see, and anybody who has any kind of ill intentions or whatever, it's not good, for example, to know the layout of Frogmore Cottage. It's not, because people can plan where they're going to go if ever they got inside. It's probably not good to know the layout of the garden and all the rest of it. So I can see that in terms of national security, or rather their security, it probably is a good idea to keep it private. But for ordinary people in the UK, it's not really a big deal. Leslie says, could you outline where on the grounds at Frogmore Estate the people are buried? Oh, if you do a Google Images, the Frogmore burial ground is fairly close to Frogmore. I mean, it's not that far away, and you can see the mausoleum, and it's there. Where you can see the sort of Victoria mausoleum, you can't really miss it from looking above. It's there. Sharon says, doesn't other members of the royal family have gardens? They do. So I don't really... I get what you're saying. I don't really understand why it's such a big fuss. Let me just sit down. Ah, there we go. That's better. Yeah, so I don't really understand why it's such a big fuss. William and Catherine have one at Anmer Hall. They also have a nice one at their apartment at Kensington Palace. The Wessexes have one. There's one at Royal Lodge. I mean, all of them have some kind of garden. The Sussex Tears says, the Daily Mail are really making it up as they go. Well, I mean, I've just used that one because there's photos of that letter, but I imagine that this is probably being repeated on other media outlets too. I would imagine. Elaine says, it's a listed property. I'm shocked Harry was unaware of this. Again, I think it's probably an oversight by the contractors. This Ian Ratcliffe seems to be the one that's in charge of putting in the application. So I'm thinking it was an oversight with the contractors rather than Harry and Meghan themselves. Because let's not forget, they are paying someone to do it, so it should technically be done right. It is an oversight. Brianna says maybe they could add a frog pond. Oh my god, that would be amazing. Oh, I would definitely approve a frog pond. Definitely. Totally. A Frogmore Cottage frog pond. Yes, I'm living for a Frogmore Cottage frog pond. Leslie says, I always thought everyone was buried at St George. No, the royal... Well, I mean, that's just a limited space. So they have to have something a little bigger. So yes, the royal burial ground at Frogmore does that. Little Annie says there isn't enough anyone buried in the cottage. Oh no. As far as I'm aware, no one's buried in the cottage garden. Maybe pets. I don't know. Maybe pets of long gone residents. Maybe some of Queen Charlotte's pets. I don't know. But no, I don't think any bodies. Ooh, the bodies. No, I don't think the bodies. Unique K says, but wouldn't they have a consultant or someone professional to guide? Yes, and they got it wrong. Thank you about the tiara. Little Annie says, so I work for the NHS and am therefore a public servant, however that doesn't give anyone the right to know what I do in private. True, definitely. Sorry, I can't adjust the volume. Not from my end. Rhonda says, why can't the press figure out the reason the Duke and Duchess are so private with their lives? It's because the press is so critical and mean to them about everything. And Southern Lady says the plans should not be made public. Well, we're safe because I definitely don't think they are. I think that if they had have been, we would probably know all about them right now. Barbie says, a frog pond. That would really make the press croak. Oh, I see what you did there. A frog abuse at Frogmore. Well, my goodness. Yes, I would approve a frog pond, definitely. Rebecca says, why will they put in a frog pond when frogs make so much noise? Well, I don't mind a bit of croaking at night time. Dee Dee says, hi everyone, do I even want to know what's going on here? Yes, it is more tabloid nonsense. It's pretty routine stuff, really, to be quite fair. Let's have a look. Oh, Kathy thinks that Meghan might be pregnant. Let them do whatever they want with their garden. Meghan is beautiful. I am so sick of yelling racism. Most of us have beautiful blended families. On the point of pregnancy, I mean, a lot of people have said maybe she is. Again, we aren't going to know until if she is pregnant, we won't know until the first trimester, so 12 weeks, I do believe that is. But no, I mean, do I think she's pregnant? I don't. But hey, if she is, we will find out at the trimester stage. Let's have a look. Barbie says these ridiculous reports are weeds in the garden of life. They need to be pulled. Pull them. Kathy G says, will the Ebola outbreak affect the World Tour? Well, I mean, I wouldn't imagine they would be visiting anywhere that is classed as high risk. They would scout that out. They would sort that out. Cynthia says, could the Queen or Prince Charles put a statement out about this to stop? No. Well, technically they could, but they tend not to. It's the it's the whole never complain, never explain thing. It just incites them to write more lies, unfortunately. Yes, it's the planning is brilliant for nosy neighbours in the UK. Anne Lewis says the upgrade could be for the gaps in the trees. Well, I did think when someone posted a photo, you can see the windows of Frogmore Cottage from certain elements of Frogmore House estate, and I did think that they would be filling in those gaps pretty quick. So I can imagine that some planting would be made to fill in those gaps. Becky Ray thinks frogs are actually quite soothing at night time. Auntie D says no. I doubt that she's pregnant. Maybe next year. Yeah, maybe next year. Some lady says, I do not think Meghan is pregnant. She's only about 9 weeks old. Well, okay, pregnancy experts, do tell me. But I did read once, I could be wrong, but I did read once that when women have just had babies, they can be quite fertile, quite quickly. So I don't know. The only thing is with that is knowing what goes on down there in the Mufasa area. I imagine it would be pretty painful to be trying to conceive that quickly, even if you're fertile. I imagine that you'd want to give it a little bit of a chance for your Mufasa to heal. I think so. Yes, I agree. I think 9 weeks is probably a little too soon. unless you have, you know, I don't know, unless it's healed really quickly. I don't know. I don't know the practicalities, but I was trying to say that as sensitively as possible. But you get my drift. I imagine you'd want to give it a little bit of a chance to recuperate. You know what I mean? Dion's laughing at the Mufasa area. Christine says you're absolutely right. Diapan says yes, ignore them. Yes, totally. Phyllis says all these ridiculous speculations. A couple of months ago, people were saying Catherine was pregnant again. Well, with Catherine, we always know if she's pregnant really, really quickly because she has that terrible morning sickness. PP says, rip up their garden. What happened? Oh, you're going to have to go back and watch the whole video. But basically, I don't think they're going to have to rip up their whole garden at all. Pat Long says, medical people usually advise to abstain from the you-know-what for 6 to 12 weeks. Aha! Well, there we have it. So I definitely don't think so. Noreen says, I think they should stop this never complain saying it's rubbish. I would say there is a reason why they don't. Well, why they don't do that. And, you know, it's a tried and tested method. And I think if they did, it would just open them up to more press lies, because the press would do it just to get a reaction, basically. They would. They'd just do it more and more just to get a reaction, to get more bang for their buck, as people say in the States. You know, one pack of lies could then spawn a reaction from the palace, could then spawn another article responding to that reaction. You get my drift. Snowball effect. Anne Louise says you're getting tongue-tied explaining of yes, the Mufasa. Alexis says yes, agree. It usually takes about 4 to 6 weeks for Mufasa to heal. That's good to know, people. Annie says you usually have to wait at least 6 weeks. Okay, we get the drift. No more Mufasa. So yes, I don't think Meghan is pregnant yet. Now, what do I think about the Sussex's charity's new name? Well, as far as I'm aware, does it have a new name? Let me just go to the Sussex Royal Instagram account, because there was something I wanted to talk about, another story, which was obviously at the Lion King premiere, going back again. There was talk about the new work that's underway, and I'm not quite sure if it did have a name yet, because the Protect the Pride is a global conservation campaign, but I don't think that's actually Harry's one. So if you're referring to Protect the Pride, I don't think that is the one. But this is the bit. So again, I've gone to their Instagram account, and I'm going to read it. So it says, as part of their commitment to this cause, Disney also made a donation to the Duke of Sussex's upcoming Environment and Community Initiative, which will be formally announced this autumn. So there we go. The Duke and Duchess are committed to advancing conservation efforts across Africa and around the world, and working with communities to ensure a sustainable future for the planet. So it didn't name it. It said it's upcoming. So this Protect the Pride is not what Harry and Meghan's is. So if anyone's heard anything else otherwise, do let me know. But as far as I'm aware, the name of it hasn't been announced, unless it has and I've missed it. So yes, so you can go to Sussex Royal Instagram and take a look for yourself. Someone's saying, check Emily Andrews. What? Has she got a scoop? Okay, right. I'm gonna check. I'll do it now. I'll do it now while I'm here, and then we'll see. Let's check. Okay, I'm just checking. I will check. Oh, here we go, 2 hours ago. She says, so this is what Emily Andrews says. The Sussex Royal Foundation of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex has already trademarked and copyrighted Sussex Royal, and they're in the process of creating a charity in the same name. More details will be announced in the early autumn. So again, it coincides with what they said about more plans being announced, but I'm not entirely sure that is the name. Now, we knew that they were going to get a foundation. So the foundation of the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge is already there. So I think everyone kind of speculated that the new foundation would be called something along the lines of the Royal Foundation of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. So that to me is not surprising at all. Now, just the fact that they've trademarked and copyrighted Sussex Royal doesn't necessarily mean that's going to be the name of a charity. So we pretty much know, I think, what the foundation is going to be called, but just copyrighting Sussex Royal is more like a trademark so that other people can't use that in a negative way, I think, just so that they can maintain control of it. So I would hold fire on thinking that the new initiative that Harry is working on is going to be called Sussex Royal. I don't think so. I think that's just protecting the name in general. But the foundation name, I think, was kind of quite predictable, really, seeing as we've got the same for the Cambridges. I think, you know, going in a similar direction as a foundation is probably was expected, I think is the word. So hold fire on the new initiative name, because I'm not sure that one will be Sussex Royal. Let's see what people are saying. Mrs. BSN caught alive. Hello, you did. And apparently a new board of members was announced too. There we go. Yes, I must have missed it. Janelle says, is there somewhere where you can sign up to get notifications? Yes, you have to go to my main page and hit the bell. Hit the notification bell. Okay. Karen M says, the director of the Sussex Royal Foundation is Sarah Latham, and former Royal Foundation staff member. Mrs. BSN, it will be branding using Sussex Royal. Hopefully the foundation will be called the same. Hopefully there will be several tweets. Yeah, I mean, I definitely think we should wait until the official name of any initiative that comes under the foundation, such as Harry's new project. Oh, B2B, you're going to have to go and look back at this whole video, I'm afraid. Yes, Sussex Royal, I think, is definitely more of the brand name. PB says bye. Oh, goodbye. And yes, no one's being forced out. Right. Okay. So I think I'm going to end today's chat here. If you do want to make sure that you don't miss any videos, do click the notification bell, and make sure, YouTube did say, make sure that on your apps and your computers that notifications are allowed. So go to your settings and make sure that you've okayed notifications to come through, or else they won't. So do go and check that out. Now, 363 watching, but only 113 thumbs up. So I want to see some more thumbs up before I go. So if you've liked this video, please give it a big old thumbs up. MB likes my fireplace, thank you. It's a log burning stove. Mrs. BSN says, I hate that Emily Andrews jumped and put it out. Would be funny if the name is different. We knew that they were going to have a different name foundation. I mean, again, I would like to wait for things until they are officially announced. But yes, we certainly can't say that the Harry's initiative, the one that's coming up to do with Africa and the environment, is not going to be called that. That is just the name of the foundation that it will be under. So, seeing as we now have 153 thumbs ups, I am going to go. It is 20 past 6 here in the UK. So I'm going to, what am I having tonight for my tea? I'm having some lightly dusted fish, and I'm going to have some cheesy cheddar mash and some vegetables. So that will be my tea for tonight. Now, if you have enjoyed this video, please give it a big old thumbs up. Do it now. Don't forget to hit the notification bell. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel. And by the way, I also put out a new video on my other channel, Elliot's British Life, where I'm trying on these clothes that I'm wearing now. So if you've missed it, do head on over there and check out that video. So from me in Shropshire, mwah, to you all, and goodbye.